on Thursdays, we still are going to be doing the jargon of the day, because why wouldn't we? So jargon of the day is when we take on one word, one phrase, one acronym. We try to give you an actual definition, and whenever possible, I like to make fun of the actual definition, and then we give you a working definition. And the whole point of this is so that you can connect to whatever this term means, and hopefully it'll save you time and money. And/or money, right? That would all be good, right? So today's term, as odd as it may seem, apparently we've never done this term before. And so we've done echoics before, but that's very different from echolalia. And this is a term that you are going to hear very often, especially if you have a young child on the autism spectrum. So Traven, let's go ahead and take a look at the actual definition. Echolalia, the involuntary repetition, echoing of a word or phrase just spoken by another person. Okay. Now that's not the worst definition in the world, right? We sort of can get our eyes around that. But I got to be honest with you, as we were looking this up and discussing this, I didn't realize involuntary makes it different, because there are times, well, we'll talk about this in a second. Let's go ahead and go to our working definition. So working definition, just to take it down, repeating words or phrases said by someone else. Because sometimes our kids will engage in echolalia, and we call it scripting, because it's not something that somebody just said, it's movie talk is what we sometimes call it. It's something from a Disney movie, right, that is just repeated. That they say something in the movie and our kids repeat that. But the thing that I want to say is that where I got a little bit tripped up in looking at this is that the definition says involuntary and repetitive. And we certainly see that in kids, right? We'll see them say something that somebody else has said. So, you know, mom says, do you want juice? And the child says, juice, 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 right? And sometimes they just say it once, twice, whatever. But then they'll get into a little thing sometimes where they'll just say it over and over and over again. Or they'll pick a phrase from a movie and they'll repeat it over and over and over again. And for a long time, I think we've all looked at that as being, oh, it's just, you know, it's just one of those things. It's just this involuntary, repetitive thing. But in recent years, parents have started reporting that they notice some of them. In fact, there's a whole documentary about this by Ron Susskind and his child, that sometimes it's not necessarily what we thought was echolalia isn't, because it is involuntary. That in the case of his son would say things that were from Disney movies. And so the movie would be playing, he would repeat it, and then they would hear him repeat it later on, you know, when the movie wasn't playing. And I guess maybe that's the thing that makes that not echolalia. But what they discovered is that he didn't have the way to make words for himself, so he was borrowing the words from the movie, but that they actually were in context. So, you know, he'd see it in Aladdin, and he got the phrase, a diamond in the rough. And I don't know if he understood what that phrase meant, but he understood the emotion and the context of the movie, so that when something happened to his brother and his brother was upset and crying, he started saying diamond in the rough, because it's how he felt about his brother. And it did have context. It was communication. It wasn't just repeating. So I just want to caution you, you know, true echolalia is the definition, that it's involuntary and it's repetitive and it's repeating what somebody else has said. So it's not our own words, it's the parroting of other words. But just be careful, because everything we think is echolalia may not be. And that's a very interesting way of looking at it.